we have more clarity. So, mind meditation methods, and then we go back to the 40 steps. One master, great master, who lived almost 700 years ago, Kabir, who is also the Rumi of India. He says natural state. Natural state is a meditation. So, I'm in meditation when I eat food, when I lie down on the bed to sleep. That is a prostration to the highest self. So it is natural. Natural is known as sahaj. Sahaj, but this natural state of meditation is not for everyone. Why it is not for everyone? Because we have our mind. I would say not we. Our mind created a new normal that is fundamentally abnormal. What is that new normal? Our habitual, impulsive, instinctive mind is always working. Always working. So when you just said that the last meditation practice is very good, it gives you lot of pleasure. Take that example. Am I seeking pleasure?
No.
So the natural state means there is a permanent state of awareness and peace and happiness. So, what is happening? The mind instantly picks up what is unnatural, which is treated by the mind as natural, needs to be corrected. So, now, so what needs to be corrected? So, we can process and understand that what are the stages of meditation? What will be the movement of meditation? Meditation is basically a movement. We say movement from asatoma satgamaya. You see that? So, meditation is a movement. And in that movement, when the knowledge is settled, now the knowledge of the real self is settled, the movement continues. I'm already settled in meditation. It becomes a natural state. I already built a house, so I am settled. So wherever I go, I return to my home. See that? So the first movement is always asatoma satgamaya. What is that? That the mind is already in a mud of impurities, of attachment and detachment, of reaction, of pleasure seeking. So, first step is the movement of the mind from these impurities, wandering mind, hatred, and the dualities, and the conflict, and the confusion during the day. So, the first step or first movement should be the mind should move away from these impurities. Then the second movement should be that mind must have a clarity of the goal, the subject. What does it mean? It means that our intellect should be 100% clear what is self and what is real, what is not self. First, the impurities. Why the impurities should be removed? Because then only the intellect and the mind can listen to it, can understand, and likes to settle into the real self. Yesterday, one guy was there. He's like you, an engineer and very logical. And then he said that I like your practice. I'm totally absorbed, and I have started doing the practice 2 times a day. But what is happening? I'm not able to understand that after the meditation or after a few hours, my mind moves into the same habitual and I get carried away. I forget it. This is the reason because the first step is not done clearly. First step is first movement is not properly understood. So the second movement is to have a clarity about the goal, the subject matter, and its movement. So it means how to clear about it, to know the principles, to understand it clearly. The self, not self. One major understanding that consciousness in the matter. I know the computer screen where from I am addressing you. So it is seen and I am the seer. The seer has to be conscious and spatial. I am spatial. That consciousness is spatial because it has the ability to separate and see. But the computer screen does not have the ability to see me. But again, another understanding, it is coming to my mind. You have a mirror and you put the mirror in front, it will show you your picture, my picture, reflected from the computer screen and return it. Computer, that mirror is not at all affected by any movement, any change. That is the nature of our real self. That is the nature of our consciousness. That consciousness is not at all influenced, affected by any change that is happening. So, that is the second movement we should be aware of in the practice of meditation. Then we can also understand there should be a third movement. Where is that third movement? Anything that is coming from outside in the mind has to be dropped. Because anything that is coming from outside is not me, is not real self. You see, that is the third movement. Now I have understood clearly what is self and what is not self. Say now, see the opposite. I have not understood, and I'm sitting in meditation. I see a beautiful girl. Mind already has those habits, those sanskaras, so it gets carried away. It gets carried away. So Now, because second movement in the meditation, that I understand what is real self and the self, then I instantly become aware that needs to be dropped. So, out of the third, we have two options. Now, see, understand that we are understanding the very process of meditation that is happening during the practice. So, out of third movement, the two things happen. So, many of our masters say that when a beautiful girl comes to your mind and it is linked to pleasure, possessiveness. So, okay. So the first process will be, oh, I see the goddess Saraswati, the goddess Lakshmi, and I see the goddess Kali in that beautiful girl. You see that? So I prevent my mind to fall into the same old habit. That is one. The fourth one. And the fifth one is to empty the mind completely. You are aware that whatever is coming from outside can never be me. Throw it away. So, for some people, throwing away is a big challenge. For some, replacing is a big challenge. Do you see that I have added both the steps in the last meditation in a silent way? You see that? Like Patanjali, our great master Patanjali says, empty the mind of its content. You see, empty the mind of its content. See, so it is not one text that gives us the essence of meditation. We have to understand through many teachings. And the role of a teacher is to bring all these teachings together. The teacher has to be well versed with these teachings. Why it has come? So, with these teaching, I'm sorry I did not put it into the silent mode. So, so that is now. See, the other part is if I say, let us take Sankhya Yoga, or we can say Sankhya Yoga or Gyan Yoga. Well, let us go together. But in Orthodox Sankhya Yoga, uh, you know about it, Sankhya Yoga, Prakriti and Purusha. So in Sankhya Yoga, they say that go beyond raga and dvesha, attachment and detachment, and that you can easily recognize. I recognize my enemy, detachment. I recognize my friend, attachment. See that? So attachment means mind says anything happen in the world, I want to remain with it. Some people are deeply attached to money. Others are attached to the physical pleasure, women or men. Still others are attached to the house. I have a wonderful student who has an, can I say, antique house? So that house was built 120 years ago, and it was a post office. So he kept that house as it is. He loved it. But for others, it says, no, what is this house? And it looks so dirty, old chairs. So we have to examine and understand every bit of attachment and get rid of it. And detachment also. So one is attachment, second is detachment. So once we go beyond this attachment and detachment, one should understand that this cycle, this duality, this opposing attachment and detachment carries with it all our belief, cult, dogma, religion, caste, color, shape, size of the body. It contains everything coming from the world outside. So when I get rid of this attachment and detachment, my mind is empty. You see, the entire process, the very movement of the mind. So if we go little from the other teachings, they are all are the teachings of our Eastern wisdom. I have millions of thoughts of religion, caste, sanskaras, past impression, and I also gain lot of impressions because where I'm born, you are born in Eastern Europe, so you have certain habits, way of eating, content of the food. Huh? So it is this attachment and detachment is very deeply ingrained in our mind. So there is another way. So we choose a god image. We choose simply an image, Krishna, Shiva, maybe Kali, goddess Kali, and we redirect our emotion to that image of the God. We make that image as our beloved, our honey. And that honey becomes much more important than anything in the world. So we get rid of the attachment and detachment. So that is another path of bhakti yoga. So what happens that when we follow any one of these 4 and 5 steps in meditation, we experience there is a flow of consciousness, uninterrupted flow of consciousness. That is always there. So Patanjali says, Tatra Prateka Tanata Dhyanam. He says in the third chapter, yes, in the third chapter, that there is an uninterrupted flow of the consciousness in meditation. So we reach to a little higher state of meditation. So just go. Now see that first we are full of impurities. The mind was full of impurities. So we have to purify the mind. I talk about in all the practices. Second is to infuse the knowledge, the right knowledge in the mind so that wrong notion should not take over my mind again and it will cause impurities again. And then we see whether we can empty the mind directly or we can replace those objects coming from outside in my mind. Because as long as any object is coming to my mind from outside, it is not me. So I replace it. So by replacing means I get rid of attachment and detachment. It is the same thing. What the Sankhya Yoga talks. Whether you say empty the mind of its content or you say replace it. So I ask the mind, here is the God. It is not the beautiful girl. So when I see the beautiful girl, the mind says pleasure. When I see the god, goddess, my mind drops that attachment and attachment. You see that? So gradually, if we go further and we see it in a deeper way, so we find that happiness is within me. Pleasure is also within me. Pleasure is short lived, happiness is everlasting. But my mind claims that pleasure is outside. So that is a wrong notion. So, how the wrong notion can be corrected by the right notion? How the right notion can be attained by the mind, by the right knowledge? And that is why we are studying this entire process. Again, you see that I'm reminding you again and again and again and again. We forget that. Who forgets? The mind forgets. What mind forgets? Mind forgets and engages itself in, again, in pleasure silently. So here is a secret that comes. So when any object of pleasure comes during our daily living, daily life, with object, with person, with thing, with house, with money, we should contemplate on the cause, the ultimate cause of that object. That is the process in our Eastern Wisdom. That is why we have 3,000 texts and teachers and teachings. In those objects of the world outside, if we go to find the ultimate cause, look at the body. I'm attached to the body. So we say the body consists of five elements. There, the study and understanding needs to be applied of Panchkosha. We don't apply there. Ah, we have studied Panchkosha. That will not work. I have to apply. I feel the sensation in the body. Yes, I feel it. My mind claims that the body is alive. Yes, I feel that. It is my claim. Or it is right. So I go to the ultimate cause. So first cause of this body is food. Food is coming from earth. Earth contains five elements. You see that? Earth contains five elements. And five elements are nothing but matter. Matter is not consciousness because I am consciousness. Hence, I am not the body. So I contemplate and reflect again and again. I see, body, but body is moving. I'm speaking. Body is alive. Body is alive. Go to the ultimate cause. Who moves the body? The prana. Where there is a movement, there is prana. So we have pranamaya kosha. You see, the first thing to clear the mind of the impurities, and second is self and the real self. We should get a real knowledge, right knowledge, and we should contemplate and reflect on it. So you will be surprised when you contemplate and reflect. When you contemplate and reflect again and again, then the mind becomes natural, relaxed and calm and purified. Then mind says, need not to worry where is attachment? Where is detachment? There is no attachment, there is no detachment. So, when there is no attachment, there is no detachment. The mind will not pick up the objects from outside, it will become empty. Now, see another cause. We have to go to the ultimate cause of everything. That is one way to drop the wrong notion. Wrong notion. Take another example. Maybe I am the body. Body is mine. But body takes birth and death. We have already understood the body is a matter. So then comes the principle of vairagya, renunciation. Can I live with this body forever? No, no, not at all. So, what is not me and mine, there is no question of attachment. And what is real me, there is no question of detachment. So, what it means? I have not to be attached or detached at the physical level. It is a wrong notion my mind has built that this is me and my body has to be dropped, is the secret of renunciation. We have nothing to lose, nothing to leave. What is not me and mine has to go, and what is mine will always remain with me. But I consider the wealth will always remain with me. For example, wealth will always remain with you if another principle that I will take up later, but I'm just talking about a little. Wealth will always remain with you if your mind is 100% clear that money has come to you, and let your mind be ready to give. Not always think of accumulating. Same thing with the honey. You are getting pleasure from the honey, but if you don't give anything to honey, then can you ever think of the pleasure? We are always ready. Well, every penny is for you, my honey. But deeper inside, I'm seeking a pleasure. So I apply the principle there, but I don't apply the principle. So there comes the conflict, and the conflict uh, drops the ultimate cause. And when it drops the ultimate cause, we continue with attachment and detachment. And attachment and detachment takes our mind to the first step. The impurities are accumulated in the mind. So we should go to the ultimate cause. So that we why we study Panchkosha, because we understand that where there is a change, there is prana. So it is the prana that is moving my body. But no, behind that, the mind. The mind borrowed the consciousness from the real self that is moving. The engine triggers the wheel, the entire body of a car to move. The wheel cannot move by itself, but the driver has to be there. Consciousness has to be there to move it. So that is why the teachers talk and talk and talk to make a student understand based on their level of awareness. So, meditation also has an element of removing the wrong notion with the right notion. That is the path, that is the journey of Jnana Yoga, or the path of knowledge. Now, see the beauty of it. The moment we remove the wrong notion that I am the body and body is mine. See that. That knowledge is settled in your mind. Where is the fear of death? You see that? So now understand, link it. When you know rightly and correctly, the fear of death is gone. But you are simply listening and keeping the wrong notion, the fear of death remains. See that? So, knowing is liberating. Knowing takes you to the freedom. The master says, Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. That is the only right knowledge by which you can bring an end to the suffering. So, fear of death is a suffering. And the right knowledge should take you away from the suffering. Now, there is no fear of the death. Then what happens? Mind caters an idea of possessing so many objects in the world to avoid fear of death. So that attachment and detachment also goes away. It does not mean you throw away your money, you give house to somebody. That is not the case. Huh? Which principle applies? What is not me and mine will not remain with me. And what is me and mine cannot be taken away. So we go to the ultimate cause. So that cause, that reflection is present in the mind, and the mind says, I am free. You are in meditation. There is another process by which we meditate. Whatever is seen, experienced by these five sense organs, they do not exist. They exist in appearance. I have talked about it. Where is the clay pot in the clay? It is always in appearance. Body is in appearance. Five koshas are in appearance because of the consciousness. That is again takes us to the higher state of meditation. And that path is the path of Gyan Yoga. Normally we say it is the path of Vedanta. Vedanta. So see that there are many, many. Now all these confusions, all these confusions are removed and destroyed by the 40 steps. We return to the 40 steps now, having the foundation. These 40 steps makes our journey clear, correct. Otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, what happens? We have read many things half-heartedly, and we connect one path with the result of the other, and that causes lot of confusion in this journey. It is only told to the seeker. When the seeker is frustrated, it is not happening, and seeker continues the journey, then only we talk about it. Otherwise, we say you claim that you know it, so continue the practice. we So we are going into a little deeper. Now think. Sorry, you believe in karma yoga. Yeah, you believe in karma yoga. So karma yoga means you have prarabdha karma. Huh? Prarabdha means some select karma has given you this birth and which is being spent. All the karma is being spent. But now, if you believe in path of the karma yoga, the goal of the karma yoga means I should perform what I should perform. I should perform nishkam karma, nitya and the namitya karma. What are the two factors? Free from the desire for the fruits of an action and free from the ego sense. Now, what we do? We link this karma yoga with the God's will. Oh, whatever is happening because of the God. So we have misconnected, wrongly connected to the God's will. Pay attention to the karma, nitya and the naimitya karma. No kamya karma. And if you have done some karma wrongly, then you repent on it. Means repenting means tapasya, tapa, austerity, follow certain rules and regulations in your life until the mind is purified. So karma yoga, destiny, prarabdha karma, all that includes into that. But if you are a devotee, you have chosen a god, image of a god. You become beloved to the God. The God is your darling and the honey. And now you believe in destiny. That destroys the entire process. When you believe in God, when you have surrendered completely to the teacher or to the God, then where comes the destiny? Where comes the illusion? There is nothing. So, these are. So, our mind must settle in a principle with clarity. Couple of more things needs to be understood. Be very clear about those steps, those things, those knowledge. By default, this mind is constantly moving down. What is the meaning of moving down? That this mind is born in this body with the past impression of survival, instinct, animal instinct. So mind has to constantly moving down. So what happens when it moves down? Mind claims that I am the matter. What happens when I claim I am the matter? I am in ignorance. Simple way to understand. Don't go into everything is good. Kundalini is good, all these practices are good. But clarity of understanding makes our mind and intellect clear to choose the right path and to progress easily. When the mind is attached to the matter, that simply means the mind is moving down. So, when the mind is attached to the matter, we are moving down. We live, we cherish unnatural state as a natural state. That I covered in the very beginning. Now, we say the mind has those impurities. It causes avidya, fear of death, attachment and detachment, duality and a conflict. What is the meaning of avidya or ignorance? Avidya is also a knowledge. You see that? Avidya, ignorance is also a knowledge. Ignorance means I do not know. but I know that I do not know. So this avidya means what it means. The real self and the matter is one. That is the meaning of ignorance. And what is the meaning of the knowledge? That merges the matter into the real self. Only the real self remains. So, see that. Look at it. So, we started with the impurities of the mind, and that impurities includes anxiety, stress, attachment, detachment. So, all those means I'm living in ignorance, and that ignorance means what it means? The matter and that which causes the real self and the matter as one. And you are a seeker. That is also important. Sometimes there is a lot of wrong notion, confusion, and hallucination and imagination that a person does not want to do anything by oneself, and he is seeking the grace and the blessing from a teacher or the God. Nothing will happen. Be very clear. We depend on the powers outside. But if we are constantly doing the practice, then we are a seeker. The grace and the blessing will definitely be there. Always there. You see the confusion. Oh, I went to that master, he blessed me, and then I'm in meditation, and tomorrow I'm suffering again. So I have to go back and seek the blessing again. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. We need not to be foolish in meditation. If I use the strong word. One more thing. to When I get carried away by the past impression, I forget it. It is only because of Rajo and Tamoguna. So mind needs to get absorbed in Satoguna, and that can only happen by practice. Without practice, it will not happen. Yes, the teacher causes also the Satoguna in the but supported by practice. 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 So again, go back the last thing that we should so that you can contemplate and reflect again and again. Patanjali says, again I'm remembering that, Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. Abhyas, practice, practice with Vairagya, with dispassion. Dispassion means neither attachment nor detachment, we have understood. But how to reach to that? Neither attachment nor detachment by viveka. How to get viveka? By knowledge. How to get? What is that right knowledge? Right knowledge by which we liberate us from the suffering. What is that right knowledge? So, right knowledge is the Eastern wisdom. The Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that aims at self discovery. So, you see that. So, how to follow systematically, that is what is summarized by Shankara. 40 steps. So majority of the steps are knowledge practice. He has not mentioned any specific practice, but he means that we should continue the practice. He also means. So when I keep my mind free from ego sense and the desire for the fruits, I'm doing the practice. One example, Nityanda Naimitya karma, I'm doing it regularly. I have to live in that karma. I have to do the karma every day. And if that karma is Nityanda Naimitya karma, I'm already into the practice. Inside the knowledge practice and outside performance of my duties. So here my master also says that we should keep a very minimized level of attachment and detachment. Otherwise, this mind will react and resist with a honey minimized level of attachment, but more attachment to Nitya and the Nimitya karma. 99 ratio of 1% to 100%. 100% the mind should go to Nitya and the Nimitya karma. 1% to keep the bonding continuing. So that 1% is enough. Even that 1% is enough. So 1% attachment to the wealth, to the house, to the people, to the friends. Inside, it is inside. Outside, everything is same. It is inside. It is inside, not outside. You don't go to your honey and declare that from today I will have only 1% attachment and 100% attachment to my real self. The honey will say, hell with you, huh? Let me file a divorce. So that 1% attachment and detachment simply means the mind is aware, intellect is clear that to live my material life, I have to ask my mind to play my role very well. Huh? Play my role very well. And 100% attachment to my real self means that through the knowledge, through the practice, through the dispassion, I am progressing into meditation. And goal of meditation is to reveal the knowledge of the reality. So look briefly the four steps. The first step says I should have a clarity about the knowledge of the real self and the knowledge of the material world. I should not sit idle. I should not become lethargic. Why? Tamoguna will come. And any person having the tamoguna sitting ideally, oh, everything will happen to me, nothing is. No, we should continue to work to gain more skill sets. I told you that that guy is doing meditation regularly every day, and he got 10 certifications in this COVID-19 sitting at home and while performing his job with IT. Yesterday he was saying, I got one more certification. So it gave me much happiness, much more than what he was happy. So, now his mind is more focused on doing the work rather than attaching it to the ego sense. He says, now I have 11 certifications. Then he was talking that market value is now that I may get uh, around quarter a million every year because of these certification. But I saw the calmness on his face. I saw softness in his speech. So that tells me that now you are performing a nitya and the naimitya karma clearly. You see that? That is the way. Now, the third one takes you away completely from the tamoguna. What is that third principle? Work like worship. Commit all karma to the existence. That all karma is being done for you, existence, in the world. That will not only benefit me, 1%, that will also benefit others. That is the sense, a sense of oneness. And whatever the desire is left for the fruits of action is dropped completely. Why it is dropped completely? Because it makes my mind move down. Mind asks me that you are matter, not consciousness. That creates a cycle of birth and the death, anxiety, duality, conflict that should be dropped. And the first four steps are introduced in the life. Then we go deeper. Then we go deeper. What is that deeper? Oh, now I have to. Now, thought pattern is not creating any problem. Daily activities is not creating any problem. Huh? I'm able to play my role very well. I have experienced deeper calm and peace at work, at home, outside, anywhere and everywhere. But still, I find sometime my mind returns to the old and the past impressions. So we need to remove that. So sometime I enter into unconscious activities and the anger and the reaction returns. That is what we call the sin. That is known as the sin. So we have to remove that sin by regular practice, first understanding and then removing. That becomes our fifth step. And the sixth step, now mind is clear, intellect is clear. Mind and intellect can separate the pleasure in the objects from me. So I should understand now what are the defects of the pleasure seeking mind. You see, the way the master has explains, that becomes our sixth step. So then, once we take a one minimum step, oh, now I understand. Mind says pasta contains the pleasure, and now I become aware the pleasure is always inside. That pleasure comes because my sense organ comes in contact with the pasta. So mind is free now, and still you order pasta, you remain detached. That gives a very deeper insight to what is this real self. So we understand couple of more principles in order to continue our journey of awakening. So once we do that, we are absorbed deeply into meditation. In that state of meditation, the intellect and the mind says the real home is inside, not outside. So you also get another level of detachment. 1% is there. That's why you are speaking from your home. 1% is there. But 100% is to the real self. You go inside the home, you go inside yourself. That is the real home. Apparent home is the structure of concrete and all that. So we are not leaving anything. There is no fear of death now. There is no attachment and detachment. In that state, our journey becoming a seeker becomes so strong and we can definitely achieve